We're back on What's Going On. I'm your host, Colin Michael Jobe, and I've got an interesting show for you today. We're talking with the author of Healthy Eye, Healthy World, Healthyism, Healthy Eye, Healthy World, Gary Drisdell. Gary, we were talking a few minutes ago, and we were talking about the link between criminality and health. And as I said before, it's something you don't hear much about. Mm-hmm. And you're saying that there's a connection.
Sure. And it's not just me saying it. There's science out there that shows that. If you raised a child with all the proper nutrition, all proper movement of the body, allowed to play, didn't tamper with their natural curiosity, and not 1,000 no's in their life, you kept them out of harm's way. There's more likelihood that you would have a very healthy, functional citizen of Earth that would really be productive to society. But if you look into the history of a lot of criminals out there, most of them didn't have very good upbringings in all the realms, and that includes the nutrition and the exercise and living within an alcoholic and smoking
in
environment.
addition to the family and environmental.
Family, that's right. Nurture and nature, both of them have contributed to things going astray.
Nurture and nature. I like that.
Nurture and nature, for sure. We were talking in the break there about would meditation have an effect on prisoners? And there's studies out there that show yes, meditation do, but there's also a study, and it's esoteric, so you can take it for what it is, that they had these, I think they're Buddhist monks meditating, and they had a bunch of them, maybe 1,000 of them in a big city. I think it was Chicago. And they actually measured the crime rate that night when they're meditation, and there's a 25% drop, or even larger. There's a large percent of droppage. So they say there's a mental connection in this big...
Really?
Yeah, this big...
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of... I don't want to go there because that makes me look like a weirdo. I'm look like a weirdo already with the information that's here, because it's not quite mainstream. But it is what it is. I don't worry about that. It comes true from the heart, and...
So maybe we need more Buddhist monks.
Buddhist monks, or people just to be more in tune with the things that cause them to go astray. And I call it the inner mental programming, with the acronym IMP, IMP, like the mischievous imp that runs around and does bad things, but it has the ability to do good. Okay, so inner mental program, and the instincts. Those two things are the key to what happens, our reactions, our actions, our thought process.
And where does IMP come from?
I made it up. IMP, inner mental programming. So the programmers in your life, which are your parents,
your
big time, society, culture, religion, school, government, and media, advertising, all that.
The Kardashians.
What's that?
The Kardashians.
Yes, yeah, exactly. all that dumps into you, and it sort of dictates the way you think, because a lot of it is unconscious to you. And my goal is to make this conscious to you, because that's the first step. They say the steps to constructive action are there's 4 of them. That at first we're unaware that we're unaware, and then we become aware that we're unaware, and then we start. So we're unaware that we're unaware.
Right. We're unaware that we're unaware.
Unconscious, destructive.
Right.
Unconscious, destructive.
And then we become aware.
Then we're conscious, destructive. And then you go to conscious, constructive. Okay, so you start doing things and you're aware of it.
There's a higher level of awareness.
A higher level. And then the highest level would be not even thinking about it, you're doing constructive things. So you sort of turn the whole thing around.
So you've anchored that in your mind at this point.
Yes. Yeah, you anchored it in your mind that you don't even have to think about it anymore. It's just an unconscious
And
thing.
how does it vary for different people? Or how does one get to that level?
For sure. Everyone's different. You could show one person one thing and it's a night and day for the other person. It depends. But if you have an intent, if a person has an intent to go from A to B, they're going to get there no matter which side roads they take to get there.
So it's a personal choice.
It's a personal choice, for sure. So that's the key. How do you get people to choose that?
Right.
That's not my mission to get people to choose. My mission is to make them aware. And if they're aware of it, then they can choose from there.
So you're not stiff-arming them into going along with the program?
No. If someone's on a branch of a tree and they're on the wrong side of the branch sawing it off, do you stand there and watch them and say, okay, the guy's going to fall? Or do you jump up and down and say, hey, you're on the wrong side? Now, if they say, forget it, I'm good with that, say, okay, I've done my job. I'd say, oh, gee, thank you, and move around to the other side. Then, and I think most people would. If you saw someone in danger, you would sort of shout out. And so this is a shout out to society. And
to be more aware.
Be more aware of what what causes what they're doing. And that's the IMP, intermental programming, and instincts that cause it. So instincts, we never really elaborated on that. So instincts, when you're cut off in traffic, your reaction is to retaliate,
right.
because that's in us.
So when
we were cavemen, we had to retaliate or we died. So we have this very strong urge, and the instincts are, or the urges, whatever you want to call them, the mammalian behaviors, or whatever you want to call them, are strong. We want to do things because they're in us, and our goal is to be aware of them and say, well, thank you, instinct, for giving me that. I'm glad you showed me that. I'm not going to act on that right now, and you start to control it.
But that requires a fair bit of discipline.
Discipline, or find a couple techniques that allow you to move away from that. Because
but that's the thing. How does one get to that point? Because a lot of times, you're absolutely right. We do have these instincts. I know I had them in traffic. You're stuck in traffic, and hey, buddy, get out of the way. I'm.
Yes, we're all there.
The language is probably a little more intense than that.
More colorful.
But certainly more colorful. Well, how do you, once you realize that, how do you even get to that point? Because for a lot of us, we never get to that point.
Yes. Well, I think I told you off air before that I drove into this coffee shop, and this guy was about to pull into a parking spot. And I was vying for that parking spot. It was way ahead, so it wasn't mine. But another guy did a New York move, classic New York move, and stole it from him. And then the guy pulls in behind. They start screaming at each other, and I'm never leaving. Lots of colorful words. And he says, "Well, when I come out of the coffee shop, you better be gone." And the guy says, "Well, whatever, you." And then it's silence, and I'm sitting there watching it. So I move up, and out of whatever came from me, I roll up and I roll down the window like Columbo. If you're old enough to remember Columbo, we're in that same age category. And sort of in a dumb way says, "Excuse me, could you tell me which way is north?" And the guy looked at me dumbfounded.
Just what he wanted to hear.
And he says, "Well, what?" Really agitated. I said, "Could you tell me which way is north?" And as he started to think about that for a second, he started to calm down. He says, "Well, that way." And I started to roll the window, and I pulled it down Columbo style and said, "By the way, that wasn't for me, that was for you. You have no idea what's going on in that guy's head. He may have lost his wife today." I said some other story, I can't remember exactly what. And I looked at him, and he started to calm down even further. Says, "You're right." He got in his car and he drove away. So can you change? Yeah, you can make changes. You can have techniques that helps you to change.
He interrupted his pattern.
Interrupted his pattern. That's right.
Okay.
The Tony Robbins, if you remember Tony Robbins, he was the glass of water in the face technique.
Right.
I don't know if that's going to work for yourself with a glass of water, but interrupt the pattern.
Yeah. No, it's funny because a friend of mine was telling me that sometimes when he's stuck in traffic and people will sometimes give him the one finger salute, he'll look at them and give them the thumbs up sign or the okay sign, and they'll be like, "What?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it sort of breaks the ice.
It breaks the ice,
and it shifts everything.
Yeah.
And usually the tension is gone because the other person is so shocked to see that sign, and there's the last thing they would expect.
Yes.
Right. So it's right. I guess once again, that's another example of interrupting someone's pattern.
Interrupting someone's pattern. That's right.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. But you know what? It's important for us to keep that in mind because too often we can get sidetracked, and like you said, who knows where that can end up?
Yes.
Next thing you know, you're off to Kingston for a while. Right?
That's right. That's right. So it comes down to awareness, and then finding interruptions and developing that willpower. Willpower can be strengthened, just like any muscle. It takes a little bit of doing. Sure. You teach your children willpower. You teach them willpower to brush their teeth. It doesn't happen instantly. It takes years and years of training them. Right. And it took a lot of work for you to get them to that point, to buy the toothbrush, buy the toothpaste, get them in front of the sink, wipe up their mess, a lot of patience with them and whatnot. So the willpower, the intent to go there, it built over time.
So in essence, you're training yourself.
Training yourself, yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Building that muscle.
Building that muscle. Okay, we're going to take another break, and we'll be right back right here on What's Going On.